Alrighty, welcome back to episode 2 of Bullyball, a 49ers podcast. Once again, me, Alex, and my co-host Joseph. How you doing, Joe?
Good. It's good to be back. A lot has happened in 1 week.
Yep, I agree. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you could for us. We're trying to grow this thing organically and get us moving through the podcast world. Alrighty, we talked about it. We wanted to start with a new segment on every episode. We'll call it the weekly roundup. Just kind of give the topics, news, things that's happened over the week, and then just kind of summarize it into one topic right here. So the first thing could start with earlier in the week, Jay Glazer said the Niners were in love where Trey is with his development, which is a good sign, It's a good thing. There was also news that Jimmy G could possibly go to the Commanders, Washington Commanders, previously known as the Washington football team or Redskins. He could go there for a first round pick, which is interesting. We can touch on that a little bit later. And then Niners Twitter was put on fire this week with some Trey Lance practice highlights that we will jump into after this segment as well. Some other things that happened during the week. The 49ers promoted offensive quality control Brian Fleury. He coached. This is interesting to me, but I kind of like it. He previously coached linebackers in 2016, D line in 2017, and DBs in 2018. He spent the last 2 years as the offensive quality control with the 49ers, though, and he will be the new tight ends coach. So that's interesting. I kind of like that he coached the linebackers, D line, and DBs. It gives them a whole nother perspective on what those position groups expect from like tight ends, and he kind of knows how to beat those position groups. So I like it. And it's good that we promote organically. You know what I mean? We
I
promote from
agree.
within. We're not poaching and stuff. We're building these guys up and doing it that way. And the last one, we also promoted Leonard Hankerson to wide receivers coach. Previous Shanahan receiver. We talked about him a little bit in the last podcast. Played for Washington and Atlanta under Shanny. So that's interesting. I don't know too much about him. I know he coached receivers for like Stephen F. Austin and UMass, I think, some smaller colleges, which interesting. We'll see how it plays out. Hopefully he can have a good impact like Wes Welker did, you know?
I'm still waiting on the special teams coach. I think that's gonna be the big one.
Yeah.
Um, we're pretty good at promoting from within. All these under lower level positions, they fill them out pretty good.
Yeah. I think it's a good spot, the organization, the 49ers, for a place where coaches would want to come. Because you can come in at a lower position and if you work hard, you'll get promoted up to those bigger spots. So who knows? Ex players, Patrick Willis might want to come back, come be a coach, and eventually be the linebackers coach or something. Joe Staley, ex players, could be
I
interesting.
could definitely see Joe Staley being a coach. Don't think he'll do it though. Don't think he'll
Yeah.
do it.
Patrick
He's
Willis, he had a
loving
tweet. Go ahead.
he's loving that his gig with who is it, NBC or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Patrick Willis had a tweet when the Rams won the Super Bowl talking about how it makes his blood run and his heart flutter and stuff. And like he said, not in the past, he said in the present. So whether that's a comeback on the field or a comeback in the coaching room, that could be interesting. I would definitely take him as a coach.
I would too.
As a player, I don't know.
A
It's been
little,
like
little
7 years
old
since he
now. He's a little
played.
old.
Yeah, probably lost a couple steps. I don't think he'd even be able to beat out Dre Greenlaw or Aziz, but topic for a different day. Alrighty, so that'll do it for the weekly roundup. Let us know in the comments if we missed anything or if there's any other topics you guys want us to hit on. But now we'll get started with these practice highlights from Trey Lance. Had Twitter on fire this week from Javier Vega. Put those highlights up. I don't know how he got them, but he got them. So, Joe, if you want to pull those things up, we can play
Let
them
me
for you
pull them
guys
up.
real quick.
And as I pull them up, I just want to say one non-49er highlight that was a good sign to me was the Steelers picking up Brian Flores. Did you hear about that one?
Yes, yep, I
Steelers picked
agree.
up Brian Flores to be a linebacker coach, I believe it was.
Yep.
And a linebacker and defensive assistant coach, and I think that's a good pickup. I'm happy for the guy. He's a great coach in my opinion, so I'm glad he's still in the
Yep.
league.
Yep. Especially after him having the bravery and courage to come out and say that stuff too to get signed.
Exactly.
I mean, that just goes to show how good of a coach he actually is.
And it was Mike Tomlin who brought him in, so
Yeah,
I'm happy.
love to see it.
All right, ready?
Yep.
Let me full screen. Is it full screen?
Yep.
So, as you can see, yes, it would have been a sack in a game, but in practice, you're trying to develop, let the players play it out. And what you like to see is the accuracy. You see the DB coming down hard on him. He puts it inside to help him avoid the hit. Jimmy doesn't do that all the time, but just saying.
Perfect
And you
example.
like
Tebow in that Rams game getting laid out.
Yep, you like the mobility. This guy's right here, and he's gonna get sacked, but you like to see him moving around. All right, let's hop into the next one. Wait, wrong one. Here's one right here for you. All right, so this one we don't get the shot of the quarterback, but it's a deep downfield shot. At least looks like 40, 50 yards. And let's pause it right there. Puts it right on him, right on the sideline, in between two defenders.
Yep. That's great ball placement, that deep down outside the numbers. Put it right on the receiver where you can only catch it, like get it over Josh Norman's head right there and just put it right in that pocket.
Right over
Beautiful.
Josh Norman and in between Jimmy Ward. So it's not like it is a first team defense right there.
Yep.
All right, here, let's throw this one up there. So this one, obviously, most of these clips he's on the run, but you love to see the accuracy on the run.
You could probably put it in a little better place. You could put it a little more to the sideline probably, but still, just to get that ball there and give that receiver an opportunity to catch that ball is, that's huge.
I can't tell. I think that's Hufanga who he's throwing that one on. Can't tell.
Yeah.
We saw this one, right?
No,
we didn't see this one. Let's pull it up. Big screen. So this one, impressive. Rolling to the left, has to set his feet. And look at the arm angle on that one. See if we can
cross body, almost like a sidearm.
Little sidearm right there. Perfect placement over the head of the first defender. Right where only his guy can get it.
Exactly. We get it. It is practice, but I think these clips just go to show his arm talent, his ability, the type of plays that he can make. It's practice, they're probably not going 100%, but it shows his arm talent. Like Jimmy G will never and has never made a throw like that or like this throw either.
And yes, here you can say, oh, well, he should lead the receiver more. He has to come back for the ball, but the fact he's layering it in over that front defender. And yeah, this guy stopped running, the defender in the back, but hey, man, you like to see the talent pop off.
Look at his feet too. his feet aren't even set. He's just throwing on the run, gets it out, puts it in a spot for the receiver to catch the ball. Just give him an opportunity. Is it
And
behind? Probably yes, but it gives the receiver an opportunity to catch the ball, and that's all you can really ask for.
and since everyone likes to mention, oh, it's practice. Oh, he hasn't done it in a game. Oh, we brought up some clips from the preseason, um, and from the Houston game. Obviously, there were a couple decent ones in the Cardinals game, but we just wanted to pull some up, let you guys see.
That was a laser. Looked off the safety and then just fit it into that pocket for him right there.
And yeah,
Laser.
not his first read either. As you can see, he looks left first and then back to the middle. See him look left to this guy, comes back, fits it right in
Moves
the
that
hole.
safety just enough to hit it right there.
And you got to remember, this is before he sat the whole season. So the dude has a talent. He just needs to be on the field at this point. All right, we got this one right here. This one, 2-point conversion right here, I believe is what this was. Put it on him.
Yep.
Fired it in there.
And I think that's a whole nother level from Jimmy G, that arm strength to just rocket those things in there.
The reason I put this one on there is because, well, this one and that last one is because people were saying, oh, let me see him throw from the pocket. He can't throw from the pocket. Both of those were from the pocket.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here we go. We got this one right here. This is the Chiefs preseason game. Play action. Staple in the Shanahan scheme. What's that, a 40-yard pass?
Yep. All the way across the field, too.
Mm-hmm. Opposite
Whole
end.
different side of the field.
That's one dude I would love to bring back. Trent Sherfield. He'll be cheap. And he has that chemistry with Trey Lance.
Trey Lance's first touchdown this year, and the Niners' first touchdown this year was Trey Lance to Trent Sherfield, surprisingly.
Yep. All
And
right.
Trent came
Now,
up with a lot of. We'll touch on that later.
let me see. There's 2 clips from this game that I had. 205. All right. Please work.
That Florida internet ain't the best, it looks like.
I guess not. With all these things running. Well, this one might not work. But let me see. Well, let me try one more time. Wait, where'd it go? Where'd it go? All right. The dot to Brandon Ayuk in the end zone. You put that thing right on him.
Like we said before, just give him an opportunity. Give
That thing
your
was right on
playmakers
him.
an opportunity to make a play. And that's what Trey can do.
And this is my last one. 338. The touchdown to Debo, play action, out of the pocket, put it on him, and let your playmakers make plays. And that's
Across the
all I
field,
got.
too. And, people might say, oh, it came out short. It was short. But I think Trey Lance did it on purpose. He saw that safety sitting over top. So you kind of flatten him out so he doesn't get rocked or the safety can't make a play on it. And, fits it in there right there. Perfect.
Yep.
Was that all the clips?
Yeah, but I had a couple more, but those are the main ones I wanted to show.
Yeah.
There was a couple from the Seahawks game when he got in, stuff like that.
I think it shows his ability. It shows the possibilities of everything that he can do once he gets time. He needs time, he needs the reps. He's just going to get better too, with this off season. He's going to have stuff that Rich Scangarello and Shanahan have told him, you need to work on this. He's going to work on those things. He's going to come ready. He sees all the doubt. He's going to want to prove those doubters wrong. He's going to come ready. And it might start rough. Look at how the Niners started this year. We started 3-5. So
Yeah.
we got to give him time, Let him get his feet under him. He hasn't played a lot of football in college and the NFL, so let him get his time. If we start the season rough, we still have the potential to make it to the NFC Championship like we did this last year. So just give it time, let it run its course. I think he'll do us right in the long run.
And I agree. Everyone's saying, "Oh, he's not ready." All right, how's he gonna get ready? You gonna sit him another year? That's not gonna help anybody. What you got to do, get him on the field, and maybe week 1 he's not ready, but that doesn't mean by the end of the regular season he's not ready. He gets that experience. All you need to do is play team football and win games. And then once playoffs come, the dude can make plays that Jimmy couldn't. He can push the ball down the field, and in the playoffs, sometimes you need that one play to change the game. When we were playing the Rams in the NFC Championship, that's what I was saying the whole game. I was like, yeah, we're up by 10, but with us, one play in that game has changed. We don't have the offense right now that can play to that level where we can have one play change a game, and that's what we need.
Yeah. And when you have a great coach too, he's able to fit the scheme around Trey's strengths. He did it for Jimmy. How many quarterbacks do you know that are somewhat successful like Jimmy was that only throw over the middle of the field? And I think that speaks hugely about Shanahan and how good of a coach he really is. I know I talk shit about him sometimes during the season, but he is a good coach. He'll make it work. When he gets a quarterback that has somewhat of ability, he makes it work. Now with Beathard and Mullins, those dudes didn't have really ability. Those dudes are terrible. But even with that, he still had those games where he made those quarterbacks look good, at least look serviceable.
Yeah.
So I think with Shanahan and Trey, I think even if it's a little rough, they'll make it work. Shanahan's a great coach. I think he'll be able to scheme up some stuff that really works for Trey in the long run.
And I'll say, watching the games, there are times where I'm like, everyone says Shanahan's this offensive genius. I don't see it. Like, the plays look basic, but when you actually look at the film, and there are great people that break down film, don't know any of them off the top of my head, but
Eric Crocker.
when Eric Crocker, but I'm saying like on YouTube too, like there's people that
Oh,
just break down the film.
yeah.
And he literally manufactures open the middle of the field. I was watching, it was maybe it was the Rams or Dallas or something, but one of those games. And he literally can move people out of the middle of the field to open it up. It was crazy how open Ayuk was most of those two games. Like, and he did it with his play calling. So even if it doesn't look like it during the game, he is an offensive genius.
And I just want to put it out there for the record. I 100% believe that Trey Lance will be the starter week 1 for the San Francisco 49ers.
Tom
I'm not
Brady's
buying into
retired.
the Brady. You said what?
He's retired.
Yes, Brady.
Yes, he is retired.
Yes.
I'm just saying that for the people watching.
Yeah. I definitely think it will be Trey Lance starting week 1 for the San Francisco 49ers. You can quote me on that.
If
All
Trey
right.
Lance isn't starting, I think that is a signal that there are bigger problems in the organization that need to be handled.
Yeah,
If
I agree.
if Tom Brady does come, I think it's because there's some internal conflict. But I ain't starting
Yeah,
no rumor. I'm just saying if that does happen.
yeah, yeah. I'm not buying into it. One more thing before we move on to the team free agents that I want to hit on. David Lombardi reported. Obviously, most of us saw that D Ford's 4.6 million injury guarantee got picked up, and that's somewhat expected because the Niners were on the hook for that money no matter what. The only way that they were going to get out of that was if D Ford's agents were going to say, you guys don't have to pay him for that, but what good agent would actually do that? So that's not guaranteeing that D Ford's going to be on the roster or anything. That was pretty much just like a salary cap move that you have to do. Um, but the only way that they can save money if they were to cut D Ford would to be a post June 1 cut, and it would only save 2.4 mil. So I think he is going to be back on the team. There's really no point to cut him because you won't get that money till post June 1, and free agency will damn near be over. So
I would
I
still
think we
cut
can
him.
expect D Ford to be back on the field.
I would still cut him. You still have to pay Bosa and Debo, and you can use that money to help pay them.
Yeah, that little amount of money could go, but we'll see. You know, he did look okay this year against the Lions, and I think he played another game after that. He looked all right, but he is always hurt. So you know what they say: availability is the best ability.
And that goes to show that restructuring all isn't always the best thing you can do. It might clear you up some money right now, but then you might be stuck with someone for years that you don't want to be stuck with.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Alrighty. Anything else you want to hit on?
Nope, I think we're ready to jump in. And also, starting next week, just so you guys know, we're going to be doing a mock draft on every episode leading up to the draft.
Looking forward to it. Looking forward to it. Alrighty, let's jump into some of these team free agents that we have. I'll hit on the first one, Laken Tomlinson. Like I said earlier, availability is the best ability. He played 100% of the snaps last season. He's been extremely consistent at left guard. Eli Mitchell's run grade was exponentially higher running to the left than it was to the right. And obviously, you have Trent Williams, who's the best player in the NFL, but Laken contributes to that as well. Some stats for the season for Laken. He had 2 penalties, which was tied for first among guards. And he only had 1 sack allowed, which was tied fourth among guards, and that was in the postseason. In the regular season, he had 5 penalties and only allowed 2 sacks with a 75.9 overall PFF grade. So I think that's a pretty big one. I go back and forth with who would be my number one priority between him and DJ Jones, but you know, Laken's been solid, 29 years old. He's going to be in for a payday. I think the only way you can really bring him back is if you sign him before free agency officially opens, because once that window opens, I think Mike McDaniel's going to come in there swinging, throwing that
And
money around, what the Niners
Saleh
don't
might
have.
too.
Yep, solid. Yep. Anything you want to hit on with Laken?
Lakin, so I would bring him back depending on the price. There's too many big fish on the team that you can't pay everybody. I really think it depends on Banks though. I think Banks is legit. Banks was a left guard, not a right guard. I mean, like I said, every decision we'll know. If they don't sign Lakin, I think they think highly of Banks. If they do sign him, who knows with Banks? but it depends on the price for me.
Yep, I agree. Next one, we'll hit on DJ Jones. He had 43 solo tackles, which was tied for 10th in the NFL. 2 sacks, which was tied for 64th. I'm pretty sure that's pulling from D tackles and D ends, obviously. So D tackles aren't going to have as many sacks as D ends, clearly. And he had a forced fumble. That's on somebody else. So yeah, DJ Jones, he's his stat line doesn't show it, but he's a huge clog in the Niners defense, huge against the run. Even getting pressures on quarterbacks, especially from inside, is huge. I I would definitely looking at bringing him back. I believe he's only like 27 years old too, so you still have a few good years with them. I really like DJ Jones. I'm a huge fan. Injury history is a concern, but what do you think
Yeah,
about him?
he does get nicked up almost every game, but it's because he's in the middle with all those
Yeah.
huge dudes, and he's big, but he's not. He's like stocky. He's short and stocky. He's not like huge, but the speed for an interior D lineman is insane with the guy. I feel like he's one of the most underrated interior pass rushers in the league. Um, and he does it on his own. Like we ain't blitzing, so he's getting off people on his own. Um, I'd bring him back, but I could see like the Jets throwing that dude a huge offer, and then we just can't match it. But I would love to bring him back.
Yeah.
I
All right.
don't. I
I have a
don't.
question.
Yeah.
If you could only bring back Lakin or DJ Jones, who are you bringing back?
Um. It kind of depends on like the O line situation. Like if Mac retires, you need one of those two back for sure. So if Mac retires, Lakin. If Mac stays, I feel like you can find some serviceability from somewhere else if you need to. DJ Jones.
That's interesting. I would probably bring back Lakin because the Niners' offensive line already has a bunch of holes.
Yeah.
Like you said, Mac up in the air right now. Right guard Brunskill gets beat like a drum as well as his side mate Compton. Dudes, you can depend on seeing those dudes get bull rushed into the lap or something. So I think you let Lakin go, it's going to be another hole you have to fill. You don't know what you have with Aaron Banks. So I think
But maybe
Lakin
they do.
bringing him, yeah, maybe. But I think bringing back Lakin would be huge. Availability is the best ability, like I
And
said.
that
So
dude I don't think he's missed a game, right, since he's been with us.
yeah,
Yeah. Reliable.
so his price tag though, like you said, that's going to be the factor. That is going first Pro Bowl, coming off first Pro Bowl.
Yep.
So that'll be interesting. All right, let's pull up your little list that you got here. There we go. All righty. Do you want to go off that list or the list that I have on my paper?
Whatever, don't matter.
Verrett, we'll just go off your list for now. Verrett, what do you think about Verrett?
No. At
No.
this point, it's hard to say no because the talent is there and you have a potential top 5 guy if he's 100% healthy, but he's had 1 year in what, like the past 4 years that he's been healthy,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm pretty sure it was an Achilles, right? And though
Um,
it might have been an
was it
ACL,
Achilles or ACL?
but
I'm
but
not sure.
anyways, he's getting older, hard injuries to come back from, and you got some young guys with talent. You got to just move on at that point. Roster spots are critical for this team because we do have dudes that get injured. You need to have people that can fill in and not have to bring dudes from off the streets in the middle of the season. So I would say no.
Yep, I agree. I think we can run it with Ambry Thomas and Emmanuel Mosley. Crocker said, I saw a tweet that Eric Crocker put out today, and he was like, corners are going to get burnt in the league. So can you get better at corner? Of course. But is that the biggest need? Probably not. So I agree. I probably wouldn't bring him back. As the title of this podcast is going to be Availability is the Best Ability. Same thing with Brett. Same thing.
And that's been the 49ers problem the past couple years. We'd
Yep.
be losing a lot of people. You need to get some durability in there.
Mm-hmm. Touched on DJ Jones. Raheem Mostert. What do you think?
All right, that's one that I am saying yes to, even though he is injury prone. He's a totally different back than anybody in the league. He has that straight line speed, but he also has that like deceptive speed where people take wrong angles at him all the time. It's kind of like when Debo plays running back. Debo is like what, a 4.45 guy. He's not super fast, but he just has that explosion and he's gone, and people seem to always take the wrong angles. But Mostert is like the best example of that speed.
Yep. I think him and Elijah Mitchell could be a good like lightning and thunder combo, And you could probably you don't have to run Mostert as much. You can use him as a change of pace back because Elijah Mitchell, I'm sure he's gonna take this offseason, put on some weight, get back to it, get back to the grind. And he'll be able to be the bell cow. You can throw Raheem in there to just hit those explosive plays. That's what I feel like the team was kind of missing this year too, is that like explosibility. You had it with Debo, but you didn't have it to the level that Raheem brings it. So if you can get him back on a decent deal, I would. I would.
And one of the things going into the draft, like one of my needs for the 49ers was pass catching ability out of the backfield, like a third down back kind of, because Hasty just wasn't giving me what I needed. But I think if you have Mitchell was underrated catching the ball, Raheem pretty underrated catching the ball, and Sermon, he had a couple good plays out of the backfield catching the ball. So I think if you have them three, you have a pretty good like mix.
Yeah, I would. If you do bring Raheem back, I would think one of those backs has to go between Hasty, Sermon. Could Sermon turn out to be like that Joe Williams pick? You remember Joe Williams from Utah a
Yeah,
few years ago?
I
Didn't
do.
even really play. Played like a year on the team, then got cut. Third round pick.
I
Could
believe
end
in
up like
Sermon though.
that.
I think if Sermon cannot get injured, he could be a good back.
Yeah. Kaywon Williams.
I said no on him. I know everyone says, "Oh, that's just creating another hole." But I think this year was a down year for him. Yes, he made a couple plays like that one in the end zone that caused the interception, but he was burnt toast a lot of the year, if I'm being honest. I feel like
Yeah.
you can find someone in free agency, maybe in the draft, and then have Demo compete for it. But yeah, I'd look to upgrade.
Yep, I agree. He's too much of a liability in that slot, and that's his main spot. He's a great. He's one of the better like in the box corners. Blitzing, short coverage, but his speed, I think, took a step off this last year, and I think he just became too much of a liability. So I would move on as well.
Yeah, that's one thing that now that you mentioned it is I think we need more speed in the defensive backfield.
Yeah,
We could
I
not
agree.
keep up with teams with speed this year. So I'd look for a faster guy in the slot, especially.
Yeah.
And when we hit draft prospects, I have a couple that I've been looking at in the slot.
Yep. All right. Jeff Wilson, I would let go, if we're bringing back Raheem. Too many heads back there. I think Sermon could probably fill that role pretty well, that bigger back blocking. Because, Jeff Wilson was used a lot like to block towards the end of the season, especially in the postseason. He'd go on like those motions and then go and block the end or something. I think Trey Sermon could probably fill that in
In the
perfect.
past, like
Jeff Wilson, I think with that
4,
injury, took a step back this year too.
yeah.
So,
And then the past like 4 weeks of the season, I didn't see him on the field at all. So
yeah. Even in those games that he did start when Eli Mitchell was hurt, he didn't do anything really substantial for me. So,
yeah,
moving on. Josh Norman, we shouldn't even have to touch on him. That's an obvious no. The dude couldn't even cover a gunner on punt team. So, kick rocks, brother.
yeah, that one was
Kick
frustrating.
rocks. Marcel Harris, I know we touched on this on the last podcast. For me personally, it'd have to be a no. I don't think we could have him taking up a roster spot.
You don't think so? Even you remember, you got to have special teams guys on the team.
Yeah, if you bring back Sherfield, it's a special teamer. You can fill those, but I could see your point as well. I could see your point as well. Very
I
versatile.
just I like
Versatility
the
is key.
versatility. He was decent covering tight ends and people out of the backfield.
Yeah. Mo Sanu, yeah, I'd move on as well. He's old. He didn't really do much anyways. Especially when Jawan Jennings came on late in the year. That took
Yeah,
Mo Sanu's role completely out of the picture. JT,
I agree.
Jakwaski, Tart. This one we're gonna disagree on. I would bring him back. If you can get him back decent, he's 30 years old. You might be able to get him a little cheaper. Safeties are huge, especially with our slower corners. They're huge at erasing those big plays. And Jakwaski has proven he can do that. He makes sure tackler. He can play in the box. He can blitz. He's one of the best tacklers on the team, in my opinion. He can play one high over the top by himself if he needs to. So I would definitely bring him back. He dropped the pick. Niner fans hate him, but he's a good player. I would bring him back for sure.
He is a good player. I agree. I didn't say no because of the drop pick. I said no because I think he is going to get paid more than we are willing to pay, and also because, like I said on the last pod, I need more playmaking ability out of my back end. I need someone that's gonna create more opportunities for turnovers, and I just didn't get that with them.
It's fair. I think he made those plays, man. He can erase over the top. He can play in the box. Versatile. Safeties are huge. Jimmy Ward, JT, this dude's been holding it down these past couple of years. He does get hurt a lot though, so I could see both ways. Depending on how much he wants is going to be a huge factor.
I will say, yeah,
Um,
if we get him on a good cheap, like not cheap, but like a fair
Decent,
deal,
team
yeah,
friendly.
I wouldn't mind it. I'd bring him back.
Yeah. Tavon Wilson, no, we
No.
skip past these kind of lower ones.
Yeah.
Travis Benjamin, no. Dante
How do you
Johnson,
how do you feel Dante Johnson? I said yes because just like we said, availability. That dude is always available, and
yeah.
he's not the best corner, but hey, the man steps in and he can play for you. I'll say
I
that.
agree. I think that's one of the most. I hate to say it, but I think that's one of the key free agents this offseason. You said it, you touched on it in the last pod, and it really opened my eyes. Like, yeah, this dude, when he got called upon, he stepped up. Maybe he wasn't great, obviously, but he stepped up enough to get by. and he's that good vet presence, that like third, fourth corner that can step in if somebody gets hurt and play a couple downs. So yeah, I think he's a key one. I would definitely bring
Yeah.
him back.
And the thing that really opened my eyes with him is when we had no corners last year and they said, hey, we're bringing in this guy, Brian Allen, off the street. And do we all remember that game? That was the most frustrating
Jesus.
game I've ever seen.
Yeah. And it has been all sunshines and rainbows for Dante Johnson. I remember Joseph and I went to the Niners team store and like visited the stadium and everything. We saw Dante Johnson walking out of the team store. We didn't even go up to get an autograph or anything. So we were like, this dude's a bum. but he's turned it around. I'd like him.
Yeah, I give the dude a credit. He's resilient, and
Yeah.
like we said, he's not the best, but that man is reliable.
Yep. Tom Compton. This
No,
one I
no.
go back and forth on. Like I said, the O line's already gonna have holes. I would definitely bring him back at least for training camp. Have him compete against Jalen Moore, McGlinchey. Have him compete because he was okay. He was a little bit below average, I would say, but he was there, and he did okay. He did all right.
It's a
I'd bring
no
him
for
back
me. I'd
because you get
rather
him
bring in a
cheap.
rookie.
At least have him compete.
I'll
I would
draft a
bring him
guy to
back.
compete with Jalen Moore.
Don't forget about McGlinchey.
Well, yeah, I'm saying for the backup spot.
Yeah.
Because I hope McGlinchey comes back and can start. We'll see how he progresses.
Mo Hurst. That's a
Now,
yes from you. Wow.
I put yes because remember, our interior D line is going to be decimated if we don't bring back DJ Jones. Um, I think Givens and Street are also free agents.
I
Yeah,
see
restricted.
Street on your list
And I
right
think
here.
Givens is lower on the list, but we got nobody. Mo Hurst has talent. I wish he could have got healthy and got on the field this year. I think you could bring him
Did you
back on a minimum deal. If he's
do I even
healthy,
need to do I
bring him
even need
back.
to say it? Do I even need to say the theme of this podcast? Availability is the best ability.
That's why I said on a vet
Um
minimum.
yeah. If DJ Jones walks, yes. Bring him back. We get DJ Jones back, I'd probably let him walk because that dude could not get on the field. Arden Key. I see a yes and a P. What does that P stand for?
It's a yes, probably because he might get paid and we can't pay him.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and also
Definitely. If he
he flashed early in the season and then he kind of fell off the, you know what I mean? So,
towards the end, yeah, I
yeah.
agree. Him and Ebukam kind of switched roles. Key was hot during the early part of the season, and Ebukam was not anywhere to be seen. And then Ebukam turned it on towards the end of the year, and Key kind of flashed in the pan. Didn't see
Yeah.
much of him. Yeah, I
I
would
did.
if if you can get him back on a team friendly, yeah. But if he's gonna want more than that, no.
That's another reason. Remember, he played interior D line this year. Um,
Yeah,
and all we have interior right now is Armstead. And remember, they think he plays outside. And who else? Kinlaw. Can't rely on him right now. So I
hmm
think that's going to be a big thing to look at this year's interior D line.
Jake Brendel will skip. Jared Wilson skip. Um, Jordan Willis, I would bring him back as well. Probably get him cheap, and he's okay. Edge depth you can always use. So
Yeah,
I
I'd
don't think
bring
we got
him
to
back.
touch too much on him.
If you have Omenahu, Ebukam, Bosa, and Willis, maybe you draft a speed guy because I
Yeah.
think that's the one thing we were missing was a speed guy this year that could just get around the tackle. But
Yep.
if you have them four, you don't really need to touch on it.
Yep. Trent Sherfield. We kind of touched on him earlier. I'd bring him back. Good chemistry with Trey.
And a
Sure
good
hands.
special
Good
teamer,
special
I think,
teamer.
right?
Yeah. Yep. Trent Cannon. Skip Brunskill. I don't know. Maybe for me. Because you are going to need depth, and I'd bring him back to compete. He's a restricted free agent. You can get him cheap. Bring him back to compete.
I'm moving on.
That's fair.
I'm moving on.
But who knows how much better you can get than him in Compton, Who knows how much actually better players there are that we can afford.
That's
So,
why I know people want the flashy people in the draft. I might go O-line a couple, maybe 3-4 picks, if I'm being honest.
yeah, I agree. Craycraft, he's not even on the team. He went to the Dolphins. McDaniel snatched his boy.
Mm-hmm.
McKivitz, I don't think we got to touch too much on him.
Yeah, no.
Tavarius Street, like we said, you're gonna need players to come back for that interior depth, interior D-line depth. So yeah, bring him back. Hasty, yep, I wouldn't bring him back either. Same thing. Too many heads. Richie James, what happened to that dude? I didn't even know. I thought we cut him or something.
No, well, we did. So he got injured in the preseason. We cut him, but since he was injured, he got brought back onto like our IR for the whole year. So he wasn't on the team, but he was. It's a weird thing, but I would bring him back on like a minimum just to compete for a receiver spot because the dude is pretty dynamic.
It's
He
fair.
did drop a ton of passes in the preseason, though. Remember, we were disappointed.
Yes. Jawan Jennings, obviously, I'd bring him back as well. Aziz Al Shair, of course. And the interesting thing with Aziz, at least I know he's a restricted free agent, so we can place like a second or third round tender on him. Meaning, if a team wants to sign him and they are successful, they would have to give us a second or third round pick in return for signing him. So
Yeah, I'd put a second
do
round
it.
tender on him.
Yeah, do it. More than likely, both of them will be back. Flanagan Fowles, we can skip him. Gibbons is underrated in my opinion, very underrated. He makes flashes. You'll see him flash like once a game, once every 2 games, and he's decent. So I'd bring him back. Interior D-line depth, like we said. Yep, bring him back. Darian Daniels, you can skip over. Nazacha, good special teamer. So Tavarius Moore.
The boy
Yeah.
Tavarius.
Yeah, that dude was a playmaker. Remember, he had a pick in the Super Bowl a couple years
Bring him
ago.
back.
So, yeah, I'd bring him back. What does he play? Is he corner or safety? Because I know they were like switching him.
They tried to play him at corner his first year, but he was a safety in college, and he played safety that year.
He
Super
played
Bowl
better on
year.
safety too.
Yeah.
Wyatt Miller, I think that's an old tackle. We can skip over him. Sudfield, yeah, practice squad. I don't even know who that last dude is. John Halajo.
Yeah, I don't either. He was probably on the practice squad.
Levert Hill, Darquez Denard, and then
I
Jawan
don't know
Jennings
why
again.
Jawan's on there twice, but
Yeah. So yeah, those are the team free agents. Those are our opinions on who to bring back and not. Um, Lakin and DJ. Those are going to be the keys in my opinion. We'll see how they go from there.
I'd like to know what the if you watch this video, let us know who you would bring back and who you wouldn't, because
Yes.
I would like to see what everyone else thinks, who they think is a good person to bring back, who we should move on from.
I agree. Let us know your top priority free agents for our team. Just on our team. So I think next episode we'll do a little mock draft. Probably hit on the free agents that we can possibly bring in. touch on the combine because I think will the combine be around or is that the week after?
Hold on, let me check the
It's the week
dates.
after because it's on like the
Yeah.
1st. Next week will be the 28th, so that following week.
Yeah, so
So yeah, we'll hit
we'll
on free agents that we can bring in, that can help the team out next week. So if you guys want to do some research for that, we might try to go live for that one. Try to interact with y'all, get your opinions live, get those going. Go ahead.
also let us know what you guys think of our logo. We got a logo made for us. Let us know what you think.
Trying to make it official. Do you have any closing thoughts?
The off season's crazy. Everyone has their opinion. It's gonna be a long off season. Just stick with us. We're gonna be bringing you guys a lot of content once a week. We might go to twice a week, depending how this thing goes. Yeah, bang bang Niner gang.
Bang bang Niner gang. Alrighty. We'll see y'all for the next episode. Episode 3 next Sunday. Tune in.
Peace.
Peace.